invite collaborators across the country. It's a story I've told a couple times recently. It just kept going back to me. We were blessed to host the pilgrimage at our house. The Sarah route came to dinner with Archbishop Aquila, and then we walked 2.5 miles down the bike path to our local parish. And walking down that path, I was brought back to a moment. We were driving up into the mountains for a weekend in June 2022, and Bishop Cousins had said, I think this pilgrimage still has legs. But at that point, it was very much so dead in the water, to be candid with you. We had brought it to a lot of different groups to say, is this possible? There had been a lot of early visionaries who had said, we want to see this happen. And we'd come back over and over and over again, just heard the same message. It's like, this is a beautiful idea, but it simply can't be done. It can't be done. And I found online a website for an organization called Modern Catholic Pilgrim, who specialized in walking pilgrimages over long distances. And I thought, well, maybe they know how to get this done. And so I found the number for their executive director, Will Peterson, and I picked up the phone, driving in the rain in the mountains with my entire family in the car. After I got off the phone, they were like, what were you doing? But I needed to get on the phone with this guy before I was on a cell service for the weekend. And I remember saying to Will, we had a conversation, I laid out the plan in the vision form, and I said, now Will, I understand this is technically impossible, right? I know this can't actually be done, but if it could, right? Like if it was possible, how would you do it? Just lay that out in the plan. And so I want to recognize and honor, in a particular way, Will and Chanel and Maria for being the backbone of the National Eucharistic Pilgrimage that allowed the impossible to be done. Thank you to Modern Catholic Pilgrim. Over the last 2 months is what's possible when the church works together. The bishops inaugurated a vision, and it was clerical, religious, and lay leaders who stepped forward. I remember having conversations with Tim about the strategy for this and how it could get done. And the Knights of Columbus, who lent staffing and support and help. Deacon Frank Briley should be recognized on our advisory board from the Napa Institute, who from all of his experiences from walking down Midtown, knew how to help us organize and have a prayerful experience for pilgrimage. This is what the church is. I remember after the pilgrimage launched, it was funny, after Mass today, there was sort of a baseline anxiety I've had for the last 2 months that just deflated. We have been praying for you and fasting for you, but we have been worried for you. Like I've been like the mom sitting up in the bathrobe every night for the last 2 months while you're all out there on the road. And I remember thinking after that launch weekend, right? We watched 5,000 go across the Golden Gate Bridge, and then a few weeks later, 7,000 in St. Paul, Minneapolis, and then at the Shrine of Christ's Passion in Washington, D.C., in New York City as the procession went on boats and on foot and by all these various routes. I remember thinking, who does the pilgrimage belong to now? It belongs to the church. This is the church doing what she does best. Multiplicity of vocations, of anointings and giftings, being able to really work in collaboration. And the great collaborators who came together to make this happen is the story of the National Eucharistic Pilgrimage. I think special note among those collaborators, special recognition has to be given to Father Roger Landry. The church's most intelligent thinkers and gifted communicators, great administrators and gifted strategists decided to walk with a bunch of young adults for 2 months across the country. That should be noted and recognized in a particular way. And we're incredibly grateful to Father Roger Landry. This was technically impossible. And we're sitting here graciously at the hospitality of the Napa Institute celebrating that nothing will be impossible for God. How did that happen? Let me just close with a quick story. I told them I needed 5 minutes and I'd go under. I'm going to use the full 5. Sorry. I've been telling this story as I've been here at the Congress this week. This was a simple moment with my kids that ended up being a weird sort of lesson from God. I took them out to Chick-fil-A the Thursday. We got out of here Friday to start planning for the Congress, and I took them out to Chick-fil-A for lunch. We got milkshakes. And I sat down with our milkshakes in front of us, and they knew something was up because we don't normally get milkshakes. And I said, why did we get these today? And they said, because we're celebrating. I said, well, what are we celebrating? And they said, the National Eucharistic Congress. And I said, no, we're celebrating you, right? We're here to honor you. Because certainly they, in sharing their dad with this movement, but also in their own personal sufferings, being invited into the cross of this in a unique way, have carried some of the burden of the grace that's been present to the church over the last 2 months and over the last 2 years. And so I said, we're here to honor you. I told them, because you're going to see miracles next week. I said, you're going to join me in Indianapolis in 5 days, and you're going to watch people healed physically and spiritually. And you're going to watch revival spring up that spreads across our nation. And the reason that's going to happen is because of you. Because you did a really hard thing. And miracles, in order for them to happen, somebody has to do a really hard thing. So thank you for doing that. That's how I honored them. And then I closed with this note, and I'll close it with you as well. I said, Eva, Theo, Charlie, why does God let us do hard things? And they kind of looked at me, a little bit unsure. I said, because he trusts us. And so I'm grateful to you for being the kind of people that God could look upon and trust to accompany our Lord as revival began to spread across this nation. Thank you for being those people and arriving here safely. The last note of recognition and gratitude should go to our shepherd, Bishop Andrew Cousins. I don't think it's possible for us to sort of fully comprehend the amount of prayer and surrender to God that it takes to mobilize the entirety of the Bishops' Conference, and particularly 65 dioceses, to do a Eucharistic procession across the country. He did so at great sort of personal risk, compelled by a vision that God was actually doing something. And there was a willingness to lay down his own life so that this might bear fruit. And so, Bishop, thank you for everything you did and who you are, so that this National Eucharistic Pilgrimage can happen. I can't tell you how tremendously grateful we are to you. Thank you for all you've done, and thank you for being here tonight. Thank you to Tim and Seth and Sue for having us. God bless you.